You know, it feels like a whole different world. It feels like I quantum leaped from one to the other. Literally, I'm the guy who walked away from a living hell, post-traumatic stress disorder, right? Beat to death, 1989, 23 years old, Camp Hill prison riots, prison guard gone bad. Well, prison guard having a bad day at work. See, this is what's funny. People tell me I'm having a bad day at work. The boss made me work 15 minutes overtime. I go, you don't understand what a bad day at work is. Right? Beat to death, bound, gagged, all that stuff. But meanwhile, I appear to digress. See, I'm the guy that walked away from all that. I'm also the guy that moved as far away around the world from where he used to live as is humanly possible. I lived in the beautiful land of southwestern Pennsylvania. There were 3 mountain ridges within 3 hours of where I lived. God, actually 2 mountain ridges. Yeah, 2 mountain ridges, 3 valleys. Anyway, I appear to digress again. But I lived in a beautiful part of the world, and I didn't want to live there any longer. And when I stopped imagining living there, this is a big key, listen closely. When I stopped imagining living there, when I stopped imagining getting old there, when I stopped imagining I'm stuck here forever, when I stopped imagining that stuff, well, I was able to stop imagining all that because I imagined had found home. I just moved into the experience of home. Held and home. That was my imaginal experience. Being held, being at home. Feeling safe. Feeling alive. And I knew what that meant. You see, if you know, God knows. Some people try to include every little detail, and it just drives them nuts, makes them control freaks, and makes them constipated. I'm not a fan of imagining constipated. I'm a fan of speedy surrender, so I imagined held and home. I imagined safe and soaring, right? Doing better and better. Higher and higher. You get it? Can you hear it? Can you feel it? And that moved me around the world. Now, literally, I'm telling you, I never saw it coming. I imagined something, and I never saw it coming. I never saw getting over PTSD. Right? I knew I did, but I didn't know how it was going to happen. So I wrote a book about it. I was diagnosed with scoliosis as, about 12 years old. They said I'd be crippled in my 20s. And I'll use that word because that's the word that the number 1 or number 2, I forget which specialist in southwestern Pennsylvania used on me. He said, you're going to be crippled unless you do what I tell you. I didn't do what he told me, at least not for long. I imagine being a karate champion. Meanwhile, 44 years later, how you doing, Doc? See, there's this thing that I call attitude. And yes, I experienced what a lot of people would call quantum leap. I didn't even know where Australia was on the map. I was pretty much a typical backwoods boy. Really smart, out of step. I always felt a little odd. Like I see shit that most people don't. It was like I think in patterns. Like I just look at things and I see patterns and stuff that most people seem to miss. I never really fit in with where I was. I loved it, loved the people, loved the place, but just felt different. Like I had a dance, like I had a dance to dance, a song to sing, and that wasn't where I was going to do it. And somehow I quantum leaped around the world. Now here's the thing. I didn't quantum leap from one reality to another. I totally gave life to a different circumstance. I love words. I love keeping it simple. I really do. And when I stopped imagining getting old in Pennsylvania, I came back to life, and I got younger here in Australia. Here's one more. We lived in the world's most locked down city here. Right? We had more lockdown than anyone in the world, according to the news. And you know what I did? I bought into all the bullshit. I bought into the politics. I didn't buy into the science, but I bought into the politics behind it all, the oppression. I didn't buy into it as deep as some people did, but yeah, I did. I was mad. And one day I stopped imagining being mad. I started imagining going back to the pool, and the same day the lives of 1.5 million people changed. because that very day they changed the law. They said they'd consider modifying it in November. This is back in April. But the very day I changed my imaginal experience, the very day I stopped imagining parking the car at the pool to walk the puppies, that was the day they changed the law, because I imagined parking the car at the pool to go into the pool. And I wasn't allowed to go into the pool before. 1.5 million of us couldn't go get a haircut, get a massage, go to a dentist. There were things we weren't allowed to do, or people refused to do. See, I bought into all the discrimination bullshit. I bought into the whole thing, it's Dictator Dan doing it. See, you can buy or you can sell the pearl at any time. Some people, right? Some people are shocked that I'll admit to this. And I say, why not? The faster you could admit when you've slipped, that makes it so much faster to admit into your life what you've chosen. When I stopped admitting into my life I'm going to get old where I lived, where I didn't want to be, it was beautiful, don't get me wrong, I love the people, I love the place, but I didn't feel alive there anymore. I felt at war. And this is what I want you to notice today. If you feel that you're at war, right, peace is an option, and peace comes with buying the pearl. We did 3 calls, right? pearlpowerpack.com. You can get the recordings for all 3 calls for the price of 1. That's at pearlpowerpack.com. And here's why I'm nuts about the pearl. Because Neville admits it. You can buy it, you can sell it at any time. And in any area or in any aspect of your life where you haven't bought the pearl or where you have sold it recently, that's where you're going to struggle. And if you want to stop struggling, this is a massive one, guys. pearlpowerpack.com. 21,237 emails. 21,237 emails over the years came from people that sold the pearl in some area or some aspect and struggled. And when they bought the pearl, they stopped. They literally quantum leaped. Because it's a very different world. Your circum depends on your stance. Think about that. There's a reason why the word circumstance is so cool. Your circum, the circle around you, your circumstance, right, what you experience and how you experience it is determined by how you stand in the world. What do you stand for? Where do you stand from? What is the state that you are in? A state is how you experience what you experience. If you got gold, pearlpowerpack.com. Have a lovely day. My name is Mr. 2020, coming to you live from Melbourne, Australia. See ya.